just posting again the agenda, two main topics, so the KubeCon topics and the artifacts working group topic. I'll post it right here. Here you go. So Josh, I think the KubeCon topic is mostly by you, right?
Yeah. So let's see. I put up there get stickers because that's just, it would be really nice because we discovered in our internal chats that there are tag app delivery stickers. I just put that down. If we could get those, that would be very cool. That's kind of minor. The other stuff is more significant. So we posted about our meetups that we're planning, the big one on Tuesday afternoon. And then we'll have the booth Wednesday and Thursday, which is kind of ad hoc. But we also set an hour at the end of our time, both of those days for potentially lightning talks and meetups. My ask from contributors is to help advertise this a little further. If people are, interested in giving, an innovative lightning talk, put that in, submit that. I'll retweet and do the kinds of things that I can do on Monday. I'm not a huge marketing person, but whatever anyone else can do to attract folks. Or the idea is basically at the meetup on Tuesday afternoon to talk about some of the work we have in flight, like platforms related work, maybe the artifact stuff. I know, Scott, you all have conferences that day too. That's the hardest part of the whole pre-day. And then have also like part of the time dedicated to lightning talks on innovative ideas and, just short things, 400 level things that might be relevant to the group. We have 6, I'll just say that straight up, maybe I should, but yeah, we want more. I'll put in some more. What I was going to actually ask is if people want to meet briefly on next Monday or Tuesday to kind of finalize if anyone else would be interested in meeting.
Yeah, Monday is a holiday, I think.
Oh, right.
In
Easter
Europe.
Observed.
Yes. Monday is a holiday in Europe. Easter Monday.
Yeah. That's what I'm away for right now too. But Tuesday, so then maybe Tuesday at 1700, which would be, I think 1 o'clock. Or 2 hours later than right now. Sorry, I'm at 11 o'clock right now.
I think that's fine. So what you can actually do, there is a list of projects who have applied for Sandbox and others. We could actively reach out to the actively applying projects, whether they want to give a short talk.
Nice. Yeah, suggestions.
So if you look for the projects in the TUC mailing list, we will find those that might be of interest to us and invite them.
Yeah, I actually saw KPT. I actually saw them in the Sandbox like a couple of days ago and was thinking we should invite them. Although, Scott, I know that might be more GitOps. But I'd love to talk to them, 34. So maybe I love that suggestion, Alois. Ask people to present maybe at the.
Yeah, we can just post a link on their issues because they're most likely reading their own issues.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let the two of us think who's going to do it so that we're not doubling work. But that's an idea I had yesterday. I was like actively reaching out to them, to projects again, because they should actually pretty easy.
Yeah, when we can reach out to them. We could just ask them like, hey, would you mind just, I guess we can even put in for them in the CFP form, whatever's easiest. Just trying to make this productive for everyone.
And even the project reviews that we have under Tag App Delivery, so there's Q+, Score, Acorn, Mist, obviously Open Feature is still there. Go Zero, localhost, obviously Captain, Dapper, Crossplane, Harbor, okay, the Harbor is just a review. Kudo for Sandbox. Yeah, maybe reaching out to these projects and re-engaging and just adding the link to the meeting notes.
Yeah, okay. And if they agree, either they can, that CFP form is right there, just a Google Doc, either they couldn't put it in, or if, we can put it in, although it's probably best to ask them so they feel committed. So then the question is, Alois, like, will you reach out to some of those? I mean, I'll try. That's always the kicker. Will I be able to get to it in time?
So my plan is I would just tomorrow morning my time just post it on all of the issues. So not a big deal, a massive amount of work to do. And then looking at some of the other projects, I think we have it was easier when we actually had GitHub issues for sandbox projects compared to the forms that are there right now. So it was easier to engage and reach out to them, honestly.
Alois, what about these? I'll put them in the notes. The ones that are actually in the new sandbox. Are any of these relevant to us? Maybe we look through those.
Let me see.
Like I just said, KPT. That's definitely one. Yeah, Kube Service Stack. That was an interesting one. Yeah, maybe we could take a look through those. Just look at issues.
So when I follow your link, I get to the sandbox page, but not to a project.
Go to the issues. Go to the issues there.
Issues. Yeah.
That's all the ones that have. Yeah, I'll fix that link. Whoops.
Yeah. Let's think on those and just quickly going through some of them. But these are already in Sandbox, right? They are already accepted to Sandbox. That's why they're there.
No. These are the ones that want to present. They're getting in line.
I thought there was did they change the process again? I might have missed it.
I don't even know, right? This is the process right now.
But that's good because then we can talk with them. Yeah, KPT would be an obvious candidate. Yeah, the two of us sync, and once somebody does something and reaches out to project, just I'll let you know, you let me know, so that we just don't double the work.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, and let's plan. I'll send out how to do an invite. I'll send out an invite for Tuesday at 1700 to sync. You know, at least it's a point in the sand. If we can't actually get on a call, we'll just do an async. But
at the 11th,
yeah,
that should work.
Okay.
Or on the 11th, yeah. So how would you want to handle the volunteers topic?
Yeah, that was. I put that on there just to think about. I'm not even sure. So like, you know, we've got the chairs, you know, some of us will be there. I'll be there when I can. I mean, I'd love to be at Red Hat a little too. They'd love me to be. I know Thomas is going to be there some. I think Alex said he would try, but if others want to come, other people that are participating, you know, maybe we should open that up, make that easier. That was my thought. Like, can we get other folks? This planning doc is open. So, you know, if somebody wants to contribute, I know Abby Bangser had volunteered. She's been very helpful. She's going to help me out on Thursday. If somebody else, you know, has some time and wants, it's a good chance to be in the project pavilion and meet, you know, certainly the sandbox. I don't have a booth otherwise, and everybody else that's around there. So just comment and say, I can do this time. I don't know. I'm not sure how to find many more, but if you folks on this call are interested.
So you mean time slot? Okay.
Yeah, Scott's had his hand up for a while. Just wanted to.
Hey, Scott.
Oh, I was just noting there was talk about some dates. So I put one item that we haven't gotten to yet on the agenda. There's not really much to say except for Open GitOps is having a project meeting on Tuesday. And we really encourage everyone to come, but that's part of, so it's part of saying, hey, what's going on with the GitOps working group, but also just to fit into, if we're thinking about times on Tuesday, just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
Yep. I think it's worth bringing up with the group here, like the pre-day. I love the pre-days. I like to meet everybody, but it feels fragmented. Like I'm disappointed that, you know, I won't get to talk to the GitOps folks because there'll be a Flux one, an Argo one, and an Open GitOps one. And There's a few others like that too. So yeah, there's actually OpenShift Commons, which is where I'll be in the morning with Karena. So it just throws into the mix.
It's honestly a bit of a mess with all the project meetings right now.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them. I think I have like 4 meetings in parallel that I should attend.
Yeah.
Which is
It's hard.
incredibly hard in this universe.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying, I guess, like the idea is we're all together. So let's, take advantage of the opportunity. But maybe that's why I'm sharing this with you all. Maybe the bigger opportunity is the cross project collaboration. Like that's, just something to think about. If we could do something that, these could be sub tracks. I'm not sure how to do it, but somehow that we're all sharing. This is the one chance that all of us are in one place. Yeah, it's just a thought.
+1.
Thanks.
I wonder if one of the Project Pavilion time slots could be advertised as a GitOps office hours. Everybody come meet at the Tag App Pavilion.
You can just take one of the slots. I think we should break them maybe down into smaller slots. And then take one. I mean, you can basically show up anytime and talk about it, and then feel free to advertise it. So all the work groups are always welcome. We just wanted to ensure that we have some spot where we can send people to. Yeah, but that's why it's there. I mean, that's why the tag's trying to get the boothers. If you want to use it for this purpose, feel free to just advertise it.
Yeah, we could take, because we explicitly set a time, like the idea of setting a time for the meetup was like, okay, maybe 20 people will come together around that time and share with each other rather than, be it scattered all over the whole time. So we could try to use that and say, this one's going to be, if you're interested, Scott, I'm kind of looking at you, like if you want a GitOps focused theme from 2:30 to 3:30 on Wednesday, the advantage might be Tuesday, not everybody's there. It's a little more, but that would be great. It might make it easier.
Yeah, I wish, well, not I wish, no time travel here, but maybe for future KubeCons, we could work with the Linux Foundation staff event staff to consider maybe we could have a room or something per tag, per active tag.
Yeah.
That way it would make it easier to do these kinds of things. And as I think, was it you, Josh, who mentioned you weren't going to be able to come to all the GitOps things because there are so many of them, right? Yeah, like we could, for example, have at least perhaps consider whether it's a track or whether it's just related to the tag. I think there's real value in having having in-person meetings and connected time that are outside of the scope of presentations, of scheduled presentations during KubeCon, so that's why I think outside of something like a track for sessions, it would be good to have something like this because we need project meetings. For example, this GitOps meeting is primarily to discuss the topics that have come up in the discussions through the meetings from various projects. So at least, I mean, for example, that one, and then I know that there's platforms working group, and there's another proposed working group coming up, and there's others. So maybe, I don't know, something to think about. But for this one, I wonder if we don't want to fragment it even further and just maybe ask the tag to promote, at least for the GitOps side of things, promote the few events that are already on the docket, including this meeting room, because it's from 8 to 12, so it's 4 hours. So I think if people can come in sometime during that window, I would think, and if they can't, I think we'll just do whatever else we normally do, you know what I mean? Like just connect async.
I kind of think that's a fair request. You're saying we should add the Open GitOps project meeting to the to our blog post.
Essentially, yes. Yeah, to blog post or however else we want to, however else the tag wants to announce things and say, here's our presence at KubeCon, you know, and that for future, and I probably could have summarized that a little faster, but for future KubeCons, perhaps we could think more about structures like that, like having perhaps I'm just throwing it out there, like a room for the tag or something.
We have to have the project meetings, but they're all at the same time, so that's not helpful. By the way, this is the blog post. Either create your own one if you want to, or just let us know what you want to add to it.
Yeah, that's true. You could just submit a PR, right?
Okay.
Because it's in the repo now.
We'll do. We'll do. And Alois, that's exactly what I was thinking for future, is that, you know, if there was a room for the tag, there would be no chance of having overlap of conflicts, because the project meetings could happen within that room is what I meant. So but anyway.
Yeah, feel free to put in your meetings. What we can also do, it doesn't have a massive followership. Actually, I think less than Open GitOps, but still advertise it via the tagged Twitter accounts. And well, it won't help you to get necessarily a lot more people. All right, Josh, what else do we need to talk about KubeCon related? I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
I just have a quick question for the lightning talks that we want people to give. When is the time when we let them know?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I might want to add to the blog post a deadline. And then, yeah, we need to get back to them. So, yeah, I guess, yeah, but in summary, I was hoping to get us back together Tuesday or finalize on Tuesday, you know, see who's submitted, see if we can get a few more. Alois, you're going to reach out to the projects. Maybe we'll pump it on Twitter or something a couple more times. And then Tuesday, let's finalize the strategy and get back to people.
I think that won't work really,
No?
because even if we start doing it tomorrow, it's Thursday, so they might read it on Thursday, and we should give them a couple of days to submit their talk, maybe. And we're not in a real rush. So if we do it even by the end of next week and announcing the final agenda for the lightning talks, that should be fine. We can still have a preliminary one for those where I think they already have submitted, and in all fairness, if they submit it first, they should also get accepted.
Okay.
I mean that it's kind of like a first come first serve. It's not that we're running a massive CFP here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the main thing is just to be organized for the sake of people that are coming. You know, we have an idea of what we're going to do, and
especially time slots. I'm thinking, because people are building their schedules right now. Like I'm literally building my schedule right now, and just want to know, you know, how should I prepare? When should I prepare?
Yeah.
So I think by end of basically the end of next week. That's basically right before the conference. Yeah. I mean, it's a lightning talk, should be fine.
Exactly. Like if somebody, I was thinking, if somebody shows up and says, I have a really interesting thing to say, we'll probably find a way to fit them in.
Yeah, but let's propose that. Let's already post an interim agenda as a blog post, which we can modify. I think that's a good idea, so people can already plan ahead.
What do you mean, Alois? Like next Friday, plan to publish the schedule, you know?
I mean, we have some things we already know that we're going to do anyway, so we can already publish them.
Okay.
Just keep updating them with the lightning talks that are coming up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll plan to publish something on Friday, so at least people can look at something. Next Friday.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I have to come up with mine too. Cool. Okay, I think if you all, there's more to talk about, speak now. You know, that's always the last question. What did I forget to ask?
So Josh, I was just gonna ask you if you could add me to the KubeCon doc so I could add in my name too.
Yeah, sure.
I think I can on Friday. I'm still figuring out Wednesday and Thursday.
The booth.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, you did it. So I just checked you. Yes, you're in. I had edit access. Thank you. That's awesome.
Oh, I do have another very quick question about this. Just because of timing, are we scheduling folks to come and be at the booth during certain times, or is it kind of, catch us, catch can, and just,
No, that's I think that's the bit slightly misleading part of the document. I think
Oh.
we should have dedicated time slots. It's like that big time slot for the entire day in there, and who's going to show up overall. I think we just need to break it down into smaller sections. Yes.
okay, yeah, because I know I definitely I know, Corinna, you know this, but for other projects, for example, such as Helm, there's a spreadsheet of like, here's all the time slots that are available for this booth, and we just break them up. And then just the folks who are interested, would be relevant to be there, we say, hey, can you pick some slots? Can you see what will work with your schedule? And folks will just sign up. So maybe we could do something like that.
Mhm.
I think that's a fair request. Yeah, we can make that table in there. Let's make a spreadsheet or make the table more finer grained.
Okay.
I'll take that for me to create the spreadsheet and share it, and I'll try to get that done by today.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll add it anyway. You're all welcome to come over to the Red Hat one. We have a reception until 8. It doesn't have to be Red Hat related. You can just come join us and, hang out and have fun. I'll drop it in chat really fast.
Yeah, actually, please come at 12. I mean, come the whole thing, of course, but at 12, me and Abby Bangser and Thomas Vitale and Andy Block and Raffaele Spazzoli are going to be doing a panel on platforms and talking about our paper and trying to get a little bit of feedback to the tag and the working group. So yeah, we have a brief slot there, and then we're going to be running over to the app delivery tag meeting.
Yeah, I think we should really have, Josh, I think if we put like all of this in a dedicated schedule, and maybe have tag app delivery at KubeCon EU. I think we can just make it more fine-grained also at these activities. I mean, obviously it's at the Red Hat booth, but at the same time.
You're saying a list of all the different things that our folks are doing. Yeah, that's kind of a cool idea. Like we could point to Scott's stuff. We could point to, that's kind of interesting.
No, as Leopold pointed out, people want to build their schedule. So the more information we have and we can share, the more likely it is that people will show up.
How about this? How about the blog post that we suggested doing next Friday should include that too?
Yeah, or maybe just keep refining the one we already have.
Oh, you think so? Okay, so don't do a second one. Okay.
I mean, why would you? I mean, the current blog post is basically what we do when.
Yeah, I hear that. The benefit is, if it's maybe somebody already read the old one, they don't know to read it again. But yeah, we can work around that. Think current.
We can even make a banner on top. So this keeps updating with new activities coming in. That's fine.
Yeah. We can update the date of publication or something. I think that Hugo has that. Yeah, I gotta subscribe to the RSS feed. Actually, that reminds me. Because that's how I would notice. That's what I was thinking. Like if my RSS feed picked up the updated thing, I'd be like, oh, I'll read it again then. And I think it does a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. So should we move to artifact?
Yes. So I guess I'm gonna turn it over to Scott, but Scott reached out to us. They were looking to form a group that's working on a project related to searching and understanding artifacts and surfacing their information. And OCI is mostly focused on container images, so they came to us. It seems like it fits very well in our charter. My main feedback was, I'd love for you all to don't just think about this one small part of artifact search, but think about everything related to artifacts and bring in Artifact Hub and anyone else that's working on this stuff. So we tried to create a little broader charter, but with the first focus being this search and discovery stuff. So Scott, that's my intro.
Great. I'm just posting. Let's see. I'm posting the links to the Tag App Delivery post right now on the mailing list.
Nice.
And
So
then,
so Scott this morning was opening. I see you've got the GitHub issue, which you pasted in there. You're just sharing that, I guess, with the
and then I'm also
mailing
letting
lists.
the POC. Here we go. Post. Basically just buying myself like 10 more seconds by telling you what I was adding. So hi everyone. There is an interest. There's an ongoing effort by different people at different companies, a number within, I would say mostly people that participate within CNCF, and some who haven't yet, but will, to improve the support for OCI artifacts within cloud native projects. Many of them are CNCF, or a number of them are CNCF projects at different levels, from sandbox to graduated. For example, Helm, Flux, I would think Artgo at some point would want to add something like this, potentially Captain, and other projects.
There are, just to add, like OPA uses OCI formats, image package, which is part of Carvel, does. Operator Framework uses some form of OCI package. So there's a bunch.
Exactly.
And what you mean, Scott, is like OCI for everything but container images.
Correct. So for anyone who doesn't, I want to just assume, for anyone who might be listening to this recording that doesn't know what we're talking about, there is an OCI artifact spec that you can look up within the OCI GitHub repository. That's part of this. That's part of the distribution spec as well, or at least pointed to from the distribution spec. So it's definitely very official. It's been around. The initiative has been around for 3 or more years, and there's been a lot of work, but it only became very official not really that long ago. So the actual the OCI distribution spec that includes support for artifacts, and so artifacts are really just they follow all the same formatting principles and specifications as OCI images, except they're not runnable. They don't have like root FS. They really just have layers of objects, of layers of data, and for the most part, for cloud native applications, they're layers of configuration. So that's really where we're at. The value of this has really increased as many different businesses, often governments, large financial institutions, but also anyone else very, very interested in security, as they are adopting this into their workflows for applications that previously didn't have support for OCI artifacts. That way, it allows them to use their workflows that they already have had approved for so many years, basically ever since we've been working with containers, right? So throughout the history of Kubernetes and CNCF projects and a bit before. So
like Scott, the distribution spec is pretty much an API for retrieving packages. And like, it doesn't really there are specs that talk about what's inside, which would be the image spec or the artifact spec, but like, it's really nice to reuse the registries which are already set up with these APIs and all kinds of extra goodies for security and checkings and all kinds of stuff. We use it for all the other artifacts.
Exactly. Every scanning and other tools for signing and verification like Sigstore, and just really there's a lot of points that converge. Josh had noted elsewhere that this has already been very public for a long time, that even though OCI stands for Open Container Initiative, the OCI spec does also support more than just the image. The image containers, right? And however, the value of the focus on artifacts within OCI is specifically out of scope for the OCI initiative and the OCI initiative working groups, and that kind of work is supposed to be done within CNCF. CNCF's charter also has a very, very clear line that says that that CNCF activities should exclude. Essentially, OCI shouldn't become part of the CNCF, but this has already been like long since resolved. ORAS project has been part of CNCF for quite a while. Its focus is specifically on APIs and packages to support working with these kinds of artifacts. That little segue was probably not for any of the people on this call. That was really for anyone listening in. Because I know you all know about OCI artifacts, so I didn't mean to bore you there. So this point really is about asking the tag, the app delivery tag, to create a working group for artifacts. And the brief history is initially this was a group focused on just the next major improvement for artifacts, which is for search and discovery. But then, through discussing with Alois, Josh, and Thomas, and publicly as well, the idea came up, well, aren't there other improvements to artifacts and packaging that folks are working on, and that could potentially be a good convergence here? And the answer is yes. So that's what the request is for. And oh, thanks, Leanne. I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, cool. Never mean to assume, because unless someone's working with a specific piece of technology, it's like, yeah, what was that again? Yeah, so anyway, that is the request. The issue is open for it. There is a charter drafted. My understanding, I guess I haven't looked at this piece of it, but my understanding is Josh is sponsoring this already.
I mean, I don't know exactly how one of the things we should learn from this, Alois, is the process for adding a Ouija. So I don't know that we have such a clear process, but I'm definitely supporting you all. And if there's ways I can help, I'll be really
I can look into this as well. I mean, we created some in the past. For some, we got for the easier way, because the official working group creation involves obviously the TOC, well, with the official chairs and everything. I think for platform, we kind of accelerated the whole thing a bit, to put it that way. But we should, I mean, I'm also supporting it, and I can work with the CNCF on how to get this done.
And Alois, if I understood correctly, you had mentioned this during the TOC meeting?
Yes.
Great.
And
so you've already,
where's the issue where people can read more about it? Yeah.
Perfect. So you've already essentially done what you need to do, and the at Josh's prompting, I think from your prompting, gentle nudge, the GitHub issue is open. A mailing list item or post has been created both in this tag and the TOC mailing list.
So the GitHub issue is under tag app delivery, or where did you put it? Sorry if I
tag app delivery. Yes.
Yeah.
It's in the notes here, Alois.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I'm still owing this to the TOC.
Yeah, and essentially the post within the TOC mailing, the CNCF TOC mailing list and the tag app delivery mailing list just simply says, hey, we're requesting a new artifacts working group under tag app delivery. Please add your thoughts to this GitHub issue. Thanks, and blah blah blah. So I think we're pretty set on that part. And I believe in terms of support, you've already verbalized it, Josh. But you and others who would be relevant if you wanted to, from the tag, if you also wanted to support it, you really just need to list your names in the doc, and that's it.
So we talked about two things now. What did we talked about? Actually, we talked about a couple of things there. I think it's called artifact. What we were actually doing is artifact metadata right now to a great extent.
That was actually me pushing a little to be.
Yeah. And I'm not like trying to make things more complicated than they are. But should we be more specific?
I'm actually the one who pushed a little towards, say your remit is artifact management generally. You think it should be more narrow?
Fine, if we can also have it in the goals, but that's what I've taken away from that conversation. I think it's not that we really find how artifacts are actually created or stored, but it's really about how we handle them. Yeah, I think that's how we start with searchability, because this is about like standard metadata definition.
Yeah, the initial goal, well, basically, like a number of us have been working on different pieces of improving artifact support within projects, within Helm. I know, oh, I guess Karina maybe dropped off, but in any case, I don't know why I'm really mentioning her, except for like, she knows that there are several people at Red Hat, including Andy Block, who've been helping with this. I've been working on this, and some other folks who are still at Weaveworks have still worked on this to really push artifact support to full support within Helm as a graduated project. So that's probably the most well-known, not probably, it is the most well-known example at this point, or the most highly used example. But there, as Josh noted, there are others. And so we've been trying to do different things to help end users get what they need to basically not just augment, but ultimately to generally improve artifact support. And this question came up, hey, aren't there a number of different package types out there? And I think one of the questions, so one of the things that the groups will seek to probably, the idea in its current form is as a group to generally improve artifact support within the cloud native community. I think that's one of the things that we can certainly look at is what's the difference between a package type and a transport type, or a formatting type. Like, so for example, OCI isn't just a package type, it's a specification for delivering packages of different types. So things like that. And the question would be, I think one of the questions would be, could there be more standardization so that more of these tools are interoperable in their functionality around distributing applications, delivering applications?
Yeah, one of the things that I am seeing, like from my vantage in the platforms group, like what we're trying to look at is each of the capabilities in a platform and what's happening in those areas and how can we reduce complexity and make them easier to use. And definitely in the artifact storage space, what we see, I just posted it, I like to show this one, the one in Artifact Hub, where there's 20 different kinds. Some of these are OCI, some of them are directory hierarchies in GitHub, just some specific, convention. The question is, can we find some synergies? Can we, I don't know if it's OCI, can we make these more conventional, more close to each other so that something like Artifact Hub could crawl them easily, somebody can contribute new things. And that's just the start. I mean, I think in the longer term, we'd love to consider other kinds of artifacts, whether that's software packages, system packages, things like that. I mean, that's very far out, but how far can we take OCI, and find standards here, to improve security, to make it easier to use?
And there's just one more point I want to mention, that this is not an effort to, there is not, as far as I know, in fact, I wouldn't support it, an effort to do away with previous formats or previous methods of delivery, because there's still some question in some people's mind anyway, whether OCI is really good for this, good for general storage. of artifacts. I think,
Mhm.
I personally think it is, and and many other people do too, clearly, and it's being used very widely. But you know, it's still, in some ways, it's still in the early phases of that. So the goal would be um, to try to make, potentially to try to make a default simplification here, where but still support other methods of installation and delivery, not say, oh, we're doing away with everything, but you know, but distributing via OCI artifacts. And I've talked with Sergio and Cynthia, who are two of the maintainers of Artifact Hub, the people that primarily work on it, who were contracted by Linux Foundation to create that project initially, and who still do, about this. And there's definitely a lot of interest there. Anyway, we can we could certainly talk more about this, and I've already over talked it. I apologize about that. That's really just the short
I
version.
think it's
of
an
what we're
important
asking.
topic. I think it's just like looking at the working group goals. I think we should be that's what I just realized also on another working group proposal this week, like on the one on the standardized query language for observability data. Totally different topic still. I think it's important to say, like, what is the actual outcome?
Mhm.
I think the activities are in there, which is great. But maybe I think what might make sense is what are the deliverables? And then next step, because it was one of the confusion and I think is still one of the confusion, because it's mostly maybe a syntactic confusion for the time being. On the observability side, like, is the outcome to define a format? Is the outcome already, it's like one of the deliverables, these are the formats, this is how they're actually different? Or this is what we kind of like all can agree on? I think that's what's, as a first like deliverable, is still kind of missing. The activities are there, like gathering stakeholders and so forth, but specifying like what do we want to build, and what is it definitely that we do not want to build. Like I think a lot of actually what you said in the last 20 minutes, Scott, I think
Yeah.
should be in this document.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. So what I'm hearing is what's in that part of this might be semantic insofar as activities could be, could say and goals or something like this, and then we should have an in and out of scope section.
Yeah, and like deliverables, like what is actually the outcome? Like, how do we know we're successful? The usual.
Yeah, success metrics. Okay, yes.
Like,
Yes.
because I think that's why, like, I think gathering stakeholders, looking into things, yeah, but like coming up like with a comparison, like another like least common denominator of different formats, what can be reused. Things like we figure out like some use metadata that uses something like name, and I'm just completely making this up right now. Others use just entity. Why isn't everything called name? Things like this. I think it's something we could come up as we work through this. Then okay.
I missed that last. Sorry, would you mind just repeating that last note?
I was just saying, if we figure out, for example, that in for some artifacts, the metadata uses like a term called name. For others, it uses a term called, I don't know, type, whatever. It's actually the same thing. Or this is entity, but it's called differently. That would be things that could be easily resolved. Some might be very specific on different artifact types that that might not even matter.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Now we just posted PackagingCon. There's a conference for a lot of things these days.
Yeah, they had this a few years ago. I've been kind of watching out for them. I mean, it's mostly about the the pips and the npms and NuGet, but yeah, that's the I don't know. To me, it's the overlap with all this stuff. How can we simplify this space?
Okay, so I added this. Thank you all so much. So I added this link I'll just paste it in the meeting here, to a comment where I tried to summarize not all of your feedback, but what you were just asking about. And, you know, I don't want to take over any more. That I know you've said you feel it's an important topic, but I think work on these things you're asking for about the specific goals or work products, or at least I think we have work products, but like goals or success metrics, and what was the other thing I just wrote down? Oh, and then what's in scope. Makes sense, and we can do that after the meeting.
Yeah, it usually causes otherwise confusions in meetings. That's what I just realized when people are not sure. Do you want to define a new format and will everything? No, we don't want to. We want to do exactly this. Because people are reading this stuff, and that it just came. That was actually causing some confusion yesterday on a totally different topic. I think that's good. Actually, we're done with today, unless anybody has a very urgent topic. Just looking at the time, 10 minutes to the hour.
I really don't think I have any other, basically just to kind of tie a bow on this. It's just simply, I think the issues are out there, and or the issue is out there, the mailing list posts are out there. Eloise, you've already connected with TOC folks.
Yeah, I'll share the link with them again tomorrow, because today's over for me. I'll do tomorrow morning.
Okay. And yeah, I would love to, I mean, basically what we are already working on these kinds of improvements, not unofficially, but within and between different CNCF projects and non-CNCF projects. So I don't think we're blocked in any way, but it would be, but the value of this is to have a central place where people know they're officially meeting, and not just having these kinds of DMs or, you know, direct messages with like groups of folks. We want it to be fair, inclusive, and transparent. And that's really the big value of saying, hey, let's make a working group. So really, I wouldn't want to rush the process. You know what I mean? Or like try to push anything faster than it needs to be. But the sooner we do get that, the sooner this kind of ongoing work can have those qualities that we all want.
Yeah, maybe one last thing here. Do we plan to engage with like representatives of all the existing initiatives on site at KubeCon? Because that would kind of be convenient, because most people are most likely going to be there.
That would be amazing. If we can do, I mean, I know it's coming up very soon. If we can sort this out before KubeCon, absolutely. Even if it's really just meeting at the tag booth, you know.
Yeah, Josh, I think we can reserve a slot already on the agenda for this.
You mean on Tuesday afternoon? Yeah, Tuesday. If the people can make it Tuesday afternoon, that does seem like a perfect topic.
Yeah, realistically, rather do it later than earlier in the day.
I just noticed Amy had joined the call. Hi, Amy.
Hey, I'm lurking. What's up?
Yeah, you're totally fine to just lurk. I didn't want to call you up, but I was just thinking, is there, in seeking to set up the working group properly, is there anything that you think we should keep in mind beyond what we've already done, which is drafting a charter, connecting with, looking at the alignment, the correct alignment, both the fact that this when we're talking now about the proposed artifacts working group, that the alignment, both that it should be part of CNCF and that it makes sense to be under tag app delivery, not maybe some separate working group under TSC.
Well, so here's the thing. Because I'm seeing a lot of comments come up in the issue that you should probably go over and talk to OCI.
Yes.
And realistically, like, they actually meet tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific.
That's great. And yes, we have definitely spoken.
And they're actually going to be meeting over at KubeCon as well.
Yeah. Oh,
here's the
really?
HackMD for this. For that group. I'm connected with that group too, which is why I'm like just so you know, they also have an in-person meeting at KubeCon. So my Normally, the advice would be you all are moving in exactly the right direction. But here, because you're kind of colliding between a couple different groups, I think it's best to be able to go make sure that you're actually talking with OCI. OCI has a much different kind of understanding around working groups and how they're formed and what their space is. So because you're in this interesting place of being able to have like this combination between the two, I would suggest being able to go and like kind of just drop over into OCI and get their take, because there is some overlap here. And it might actually be appropriate to be able to have a kind of a cross-pollination piece.
I
Yeah.
love that. I didn't know they were doing something at KubeCon. There is cross-pollination discussion already in the interested parties. But yes, that is really sage wisdom. Thank you.
I think before you move forward on like any of this, I would really sit down and be like, is CNCF the right place for it? Given as you're touching so much like OCI. OCI is actually perfectly capable of being able to do working groups. They do them a lot, but they're a little more structured and they're a little different. So, you know, go take a look at that.
Absolutely.
You-
That was
you'll
actually
be-
one of the first Oh, I'm sorry. Did someone want
I was just going to chime in and in explaining a little bit this is that you all did work with them on a working group for this, and this has come up, and they actually asked for a lot of this work to happen in CNCF. We should talk to them again. I'm not saying not to.
Right. That's because like I think the interpretation on the issue is the TOB is maybe evolved over in OCI. And it might have been like work that happened some time ago. There was some work that did happen in Red Artifacts last year, but it's worth being able to like pull together and see, does this actually make sense?
So Amy, just in terms of, okay, so that's tomorrow morning at 10, you said 10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m. But there's also like if somebody's going to actually be at KubeCon, like drop yourself on the agenda. That's also listed on the HackMD for them as well.
Absolutely, that sounds great. I will. Do we know what time zone we're talking tomorrow?
10 a.m. Pacific, and then the in-person meeting is Central Eastern Time.
Okay, yeah, the in-person meeting you mean at KubeCon?
Yes, that is Central Eastern Time because it's actually like we have a physical room for it.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I may join that one a little bit late, but I will put myself on the agenda, and I will definitely plan to be there. Because if we're not able to get to that agenda item during the OCI meeting, are you saying that it would be best to wait until after KubeCon to?
So they've got a meeting. They've canceled their April 20th, but then you can track towards being able to do probably like track towards like March 4th.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, not March 4th, May 4th. There.
Right. Okay, so gotcha. That sounds great. I'll try to join or
Yeah,
I will
I think
join
at least
tomorrow,
letting
hopefully
like
we can get
the folks on the issue know that like, oh yeah, we'll come back and like start looking at this as well might be appropriate, but up to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay.
Oh, I think we lost Eloise, so I guess I will help us wrap this up. Thanks, Scott, for all that, and thanks for taking the lead on talking with OCI. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Good stuff. All right, if that's all, let's just wait 5 seconds. Anyone want to bring anything else up?
Nope, good to see all of you.
Yeah, you too, Amy.
Likewise. Oh yeah, you're going to be in Amsterdam?
See you at KubeCon. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm actually running the OCI meeting, so
Oh,
it'd be
great.
good to be able to have more of agenda there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's what we're
No, all
all
good. All
working
good. All
I
good.
really want, then I will connect with you separate, or try to connect separately, and how I can join that too.
Yeah, that's fine. Actually, I need to like that is the next piece I need to go move towards. Like, how is that meeting coming together? All right. Good fun. Bye all.
on. All right, have a good one, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.